Peace, love, life, and balance. What's going on, family? It's your host, Chief Jamal, coming at you, whether what platform you watch me on. Please go ahead and go to the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know you in the building. But check this out. Both modern men and women. This is a universal problem. We have a problem accepting consequences. We have a problem in society with accepting consequences. The reason being is because over time, now, those who followed the old channel, I'm going to reopen that series. I teach a series about totalitarianism. Basically, every form of government, the end goal is totalitarianism. For those who don't know what that means basically total control over what you do and say, total control over the people. So all these roles do this. When you tell people, oh, it's okay to do certain things, you disable them. When you disable people from logic and reasonable thinking, they're easy to be controlled. When people get a dependency on the government, they're easy to be controlled because they don't know. You got people who were actually sitting waiting for the government to send checks and starving, and were fully capable human beings. I'm not talking about disabled, I'm talking about they were fully capable of working, but they were actually they waited for the government to do something. That's a problem. And you see it in the dating world, where this type of conditioning, where where we were raised, so don't tell your kid no, all of this stuff, where men have been emasculated over time. Women have been made more to be the aggressor over time. The problem with that is that it leaves no room for true human growth in accordance to biology, in accordance to how we actually function. You got to understand that your actions have consequences. If you're a woman and you want to be a certain way, you're fine. Look, I'm all liberal about how you want to be. You're welcome to be who you want to be. If you're a woman and you want to be more masculine, or you want to put on more of a masculine stance, or you want to be more independent, or whatever you want to call yourself you may be, you have to understand the consequence of that is that you're probably going to either not attract a mate at all, or very low quality men. High quality men don't want to mate with that. Now, I would still be a friend with you, and I would still support you, and I like you, but I wouldn't want to mate with you. So you gotta understand the difference. Same as you're a man. If you're a man and you want to not have any ambition, you don't want to have any accountability as a man, you want to whine and bitch about everything, you want to have a feminine type energy towards dealing with situations, you're not going to attract a high quality woman. You're not going to attract a woman that's worth a damn. You're going to attract a woman that's going to either drain you or you're not going to attract, most cases, you're not going to attract a woman at all. We have to embrace the consequences of our actions. Without embracing consequences, we're never going to be able to actually find ourselves and be complete as humans, as just people, period. Whether you're white, black, green, yellow, whatever, you have to understand that if I do this, this can happen. This is most likely to happen. And I know you got some of you higher level so-called thinkers out there, or you can manifest and you can look towards that. Listen, even when you get into the deep teachings of manifesting or looking beyond your reality, a good teaching, not some bootleg teaching, a good teacher is going to teach you to understand the elements that you're in first, and then you transform from that. But you can't transform if you don't know where you're actually at first. That's what y'all get messed up. You can't transform from one state if you don't understand the state that you're actually in first. You have that. That's why every time you hear me say this, it all goes back to knowledge of self. But in addition to knowledge of self, knowledge of situation, understanding your surroundings, understanding what y'all dealing with. You hear me tell y'all that all the time. So be cognizant of where you at. Be cognizant of what can happen if you do this. It starts as children. A lot of starting when a lot of these agendas came in the 60s and 70s, it basically disabled parenting. So now that these kids that were coming up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s are adults, you're seeing the drawback, the fallback on that. You got a generation of adults that don't want to be adults because they never had to be an adult. They were always told that somebody would come save them, somebody would come help them. Everything that we deal with in society that has nothing to do, that's why I talk about balance and building and being better. Everything in society that's given to you is given to make you dependent and given to make you not be accountable before somebody can come in and be accountable for you or take away the accountability and rule over you. It's all roads lead to a weaker species of people ruling over the large majority. so-called elites make up a small number. That's why when you read the scriptures, it says that in the end it's going to say that it's just not the man that brought terror, it's just the man that brought terror upon the world. Basically, it's a surprise. Like, I can't believe that these are the people that's ruling the whole world. If y'all understood how these elites are cripply and weak, and they're not strong, they're not that. So in order to actually rule, they have to weaken the population. They have money and influence. They have resources. That's why I say the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the just. They have the resources of the just, of the people. But the only way we can never get those resources or transfer that wealth without some type of unification, without some type of revolt or revolution, without an understanding of where we got to be at. And that starts in the mind. That starts in understanding how life actually works. You can't go around doing things and accept that you're supposed to just get it because you're you, or even because you just say that you're sorry. Or you can't accept to live life like that. If you live, you got to understand that some things just gonna pass you by. Some things have time limits. Like biology dictates some things. You're a woman, you out here, you wanna hoe around and kick it. That's all good, man. I mean, get your hoe on. But if you wanna do it until your 40s, but then you say, hey, I wanna settle down and get a man and have kids. Well, most likely 99% of the time, that time is past. That time is past for you. If you're a man and you want to be some type of, you had ambition to be some type of athlete or have some type of physical prowess or whatever, and you waited and just and you know, drunk and smoke all day and racked up body count and just destroyed your life, and then now you in your 50s and you want to, it's probably maybe you can get back healthy and live the best your life you can from that point. But those particular things are probably most likely 99% of the time past. Okay, you gotta understand what to do, especially if you're a woman. You gotta understand. Don't quit falling for this body count stuff. Now, I don't teach that you can't redeem yourself. I'm all about redemption, but redemption means that you have to stop doing it. Don't listen to these femininity coaches and even these guys teaching that you can just recycle yourself. That's not true. You have to totally redeem yourself. You have to totally separate yourself from that lifestyle, cleanse your spirit, and not go back. Okay? Not go back. The whole parable, and I use the scriptures a lot because it's good parables and structure. You don't have to believe it literally, but it's good parable and structure. The whole parable of the woman, whether you believe it literally or not, that's up to you. But the whole parable of the woman of the well, remember, a lot of Christian churches use that, especially contemporaries, use that as a cloak for sin. And really, what he was doing, he told her to sin no more. And she went on and followed after him in righteousness from that point on. She didn't go back to having all these husbands and being and hoeing around. She turned over a new leaf. All right. Same thing with the disciples, with the men. They didn't go. They were. You look up their professions. Some of those professions would equate to what drug dealers are, scammers are right nowadays, or con artists, or a publican was like a con artist back then, man. And what we think, we read in these languages, we don't understand what these really were. And they once they start rocking with the Lord, right? So with so-called Jesus Christ, who we all may call, it's not his name, but it is what it is. Once they start rocking with him, they didn't go back because they understood it was a consequence. Okay, it's consequences to what you do. And you have to accept the consequences, and that takes maturity. It was a time I wanted to be a professional baseball player, right? But I ended up being a professional football player. But I did, as far as the baseball thing, that was actually more of my favorite sport than football. But I let a coach discourage me, and I didn't put the dedication in. I drifted into other sports, and I didn't never go back. And the consequence that was I wasn't able to do that, complete that mission. All right. I had a consequence. I can't just wake up and say, oh, let me go do this now. Now I might could, but it would take so much time for what I'm doing, and the chances are that's the consequences that I don't get to have that path no more. Now it works out good. I got past what I'm like now, but that particular action and consequence, I can't go back to that. And that's what some of y'all got to do. You can't have this idea that you can just get whatever you want whenever you want it. A lot of what you want is dependent on the reality that you're in now. Once you accept that reality and you understand it, then you can change that reality. But if you don't accept it first, you can't change it. So, with that being said, family, peace, love, life, and balance.